the moment for us to be just here together, dancing through the form. It's like the form of lecturer and listener. Can you hear without getting caught in listening? Can I speak without getting caught in speaking? Can you and I be together through this dance of talking and listening? Does this talking and listening separate me from you because you're them? Or am I in the world of us sharing this blah together? And is it bringing the us closer together? I have all these little aids, mechanisms, techniques to remind me. They're all traps. They're all traps. All methods are traps. I mean, meditation is a trap. You don't want to end up a meditator. You want to end up free. Judaism is a trap. This is a hard one for those that are Jews. You don't want to end up a Jew. You want to end up free. I was just in Israel, and I tried saying things like that. Sure, then you delight in all the forms. You delight in your sexual identity, in your religious identity, and your social and economic identities, and your political identities, and all of your family identities, but you're not trapped in them. And in relationships, there is a balance. You don't ignore the personality stuff, because it's still real to people. You fulfill it in the way you can, without getting lost in it. It is up to the most conscious person in a relationship to create this space where the relationship can grow. I mean, I'd be with Maharaji, and I'd be very serious about something, and he'd just giggle. And what I'm left with over the years are things like the giggle. Because Maharaji was, for me, that mirroring process, and yet he was passionately alive. He was chiding and throwing things and screaming at people and laughing and holding and doing all that stuff. And at the same moment, it was just like a vast mountain of emptiness. We were all busy with our personality. Who can get his foot to massage it? Who can get closest? Who will he give a name to? Who will he love the most? There was a guy who I knew from the States. He was kind of unbalanced at that time because he had had a bad love affair. And so I told him to come to India, and he came to India. And every time he tried to get near Maharaji, Maharaji would push him away. And I got really upset with Maharaji because this guy really needed something. So I brought him into the room, and I'd sort of aim Maharaji at him, you know. And Maharaji would ignore him completely, and I would get more and more furious with Maharaji. And then at one moment, Maharaji turned and attended to him, and within a week, that guy had moved into the top slot in the whole temple, and he was going into the room when I couldn't, and I was hating that guy, absolutely detesting it. It was absolutely extraordinary. It's interesting that this kind of stuff we do when we come together and we study and we work and we meditate and we sing and we do all this, and we do it over years, and you can feel how we are changing. We are slowly, and there's no time again, so it could happen from a person in a moment, but you can feel the process going on of lightening up, of not taking the personality so seriously, of not taking the dramas of life, not getting so trapped in them. Not pulling back, but not being trapped. Passionate involvement and emptiness. A joy that doesn't deny what is in the world and isn't trapped by it. And it's all process. It doesn't end. It's just a continuous process. Continuous process. Maharaji kept a diary, and every day in the diary, I mean, can you imagine a realized being keeping a diary? What do you suppose he thought was significant that he wrote down every day? 2 pages he wrote every day. And he had books of it, book after book. There were all stacks of these books. Every day, 2 pages. He wrote all the critical events that happened during the day. If you open the page, it says, Ram, 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 Ram. Just 2 pages of Ram, 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 Ram every day. And when he was about to die, he gave it to Siddhima, this incredible woman. He said, would you keep my diary from here on in? It was called his diary. And he was just bringing it all back into its source all the time. Bringing it all back into its source all the time. And he was still doing practices. But it wasn't practices out of need, it was practices out of celebration. He was just celebrating it all. And then just this one other little story. I knew, I could tell in my inner gut who he was. And I knew who I was. Hear the tone? I knew who I was, and I knew who he was. And I wanted what he had, so I'd have it too. And the problem was he kept distracting me all the time. You know, you come and he'd talk to me about America. Who gave a damn about America? I wanted to get enlightened, you know. And I saw that more talking about America didn't get me anywhere. So one day I determined not to be sucked in. And I was brought out to the temple with this Indian man, and there was just this Indian man and me and Maharaji. It was it was sunset. So the Indian man and I came up to Maharaji's tucket, and we sat down in front of him. And I decided, I had been reading Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. So I brought my awareness to my third eye, my ajna, and I sat there. I went into meditation. Like, damn it, you give me what I want. And he said, Ram Dass, and he started to ask questions, and I ignored him. I wasn't going to have any bullshit. He wasn't going to con me this time. I wanted it now. At which point he leaned over on his elbow and he started to snore. Okay? And when he snored, my body absolutely exploded. I mean, it was Kundalini City in there. My head started to shake and my whole body was shaking, and I thought I really experienced that I was about to break my neck. It was so violent. And I was getting frightened, and at that point he sat up and the whole thing stopped. And he said to the guy, ask Ram Dass how much money Stephen makes. I mean, what he's basically saying, if you'll pardon the crudity, was stop fucking around. When you're ready, you'll get it. Stop being greedy. Be patient. Don't rush. Get over that trip. Relax. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because ultimately, it's so ordinary that all the little increments in energy you don't even notice. It's not like I've got all this power. So I encourage you to look at your relationships as vehicles for awakening. Now, there are 2 kinds. One is where you've got somebody in it that wants to awaken with you, and the other is where they don't. And those are just 2 different kinds of yoga for you. One is with satsang and one is without it. But the interesting thing about the one without it is that's in your own head. They're satsang, they just don't know it yet. And you're not demanding they be satsang. You're just looking through the veil of their mind's denial of who they are to be with who they are. But you can only do that when you're resting in it, because it takes one to see one. So you're constantly working on yourself, just coming back into that balance, into that equilibrium, and then looking and seeing everybody else here in the same space with us. We're all here together. We're all in this awareness. And then you see people dipping down, getting caught into their needs, desires, fears, personality, and losing the balance. And you're just sitting here saying, losing the balance. So relationship as a vehicle, patience. See, realizing there's nobody in the other rowboat. Nobody in the other robot. The excitement of being with another human being, and you've been lost in your drama for thousands of incarnations together. And then you start to come up for air together. What an incredible joy.